Welcome back, watch people, and it's prediction time. I am going to put my neck well and truly firmly on the line. Oh, I mean, this is nerve-wracking because if I get this wrong, I'm sure there'll be a few people who will be delighted to come back and tell me. But look, at the end of the day, it's just for a bit of fun. I've been looking at the watch market and I've been looking at what I think is potentially going to happen in 2021 and looking further ahead, further on from 2021. Now, as you know, I've done prediction videos in the past, particularly where the Rolex brand is concerned, and today's not going to be much different. I'm going to give you one or two other little tips as far as brands are concerned for 2021. But mainly this video is about what I think is going to prove to be the best Rolex investment models this year and pushing ahead, looking further on. I'm going to get the obvious ones out of the way first because look, you don't have to be a genius to predict some of the watches that I've got to predict because everyone pretty much knows that they're going to eventually do okay. So let's get those out of the way first. So what I've basically done here is that I've broken this down into a couple of categories. We've got the no surprise category and the category that I think maybe you guys might not necessarily have considered before today, at least, to be a solid sound purchase for the future. The obvious ones, the Green Dial Daytona. What I'll do is I'll pop the reference numbers up on screen as well, so that if you want to jot any of these down, you haven't got to keep replaying the video. So the Green Dial Daytona, the Eye of the Tiger Daytona, the Platinum Daytona, particularly with the Baguette Diamond Dial. All three of those watches, surefire winners for the future. What do I mean by the future? Well, even short term, even like if you can buy that watch today, at anywhere close to list, you are going to be instantly into a profit. The big profits for those three watches that I'm mentioning there in particular, and there are other Daytonas that we're going to talk about later on in the video that won't potentially offer you as big a return as the watches that I'm talking about now. The three watches that I'm talking about now potentially could turn out to be stellar profits in 4, 5, 10 years time. The Eye of the Tiger Daytona is definitely going to be a winner. If you could get that list, if you have to mortgage your house to buy it, do it and buy the watch, you won't regret it. The Green Dial Daytona is always going to be a very much sought after watch and is always going to see you make a profit. And the Platinum Daytona or the Baguette Diamond Dial, again, if you can buy that watch right now at list, you're instantly into a profit. But let's say that you have to buy it slightly over list or whatever price you have to pay for it, that watch is still going to return you a good profit on your investment in years to come. Years to come, what does that mean? I think to get the best out of that watch, we're going to have to wait maybe 5 or 6 years. We definitely want to see that watch discontinued. The same with the Green Dial Daytona, the same with the Eye of the Tiger Daytona. All of these watches, anything that is current production is not going to explode. The explosion happens when the watches suddenly become discontinued, as we saw with the Rainbow Daytona. For an example, I wasn't going to come to the other Daytonas until later on in the video, but I may as well, whilst we're on the subject of the Daytona, I might as well get that all out of the way. I think anything on the Oyster Flex strap is going to do well Daytona wise, any of them, and again I'll pop some pictures up, particularly ones with the more attractive dials. And what's going to separate the best from the rest in the future is without a doubt the dials. So the chocolate dial with the baguettes, that's going to be a real winner. The Paul Newman black dial with the gold sub dials, that's going to be a winner. Anything with diamond dial is going to be a winner. Probably the least desirable one is going to be the Oyster Flex Daytona with the champagne dial, because it's a pretty standard dial, but nonetheless it's still a great watch to own. So looking at some of the watches that are perhaps not so obvious, and that one or two I've spoken about before. I've been saying this for a long time. The James Cameron, both the Mark 1 and the Mark 2 are going to do well in the future. I firmly believe that Rolex are going to discontinue that watch anytime soon. I mean, it could be this year, it might be next year, it might be 2 or 3 years down the line, who knows, but eventually that watch is going to go. And for reasons that I've spoken about before, it's an anomaly within the Rolex watch world. The first watch should never have been made in the first place. The bracelet really doesn't fit the head of the watch itself. It's not really the right size bracelet. They've changed that, didn't they, with the Mark II? But still, it's still an anomaly. It's the biggest Rolex sports watch that they've ever made. It's a stunning dial. The Mark II dial in particular is absolutely gorgeous. And a little tip, if you're not sure, if you pick a James Cameron Deepsea up and you're not sure instantly whether it's a Mark I or a Mark II, because unless you've got them together, and even then, only to the trained eye, the obvious is the differences more obvious. But the thing to look for, if there's a crown at 6 o'clock, right at the bottom of the dial, if there's a crown between Swiss made, it's a Mark II. If there's no crown between Swiss made, it's a Mark I. That is the quickest, simplest and easiest way to tell the difference between the two. Now, I think these watches one day are going to absolutely explode. I can't predict when. I'm not saying they're going to explode in 2021. What I'm saying is that this is a watch that in 2021, if you can pick up, I don't think that long term, looking further down the Rolex line, that you can go wrong with that watch. And I've been saying this for a number of years. I've got people who bought James Cameron Deepsea Sea Dwellers years ago on the back of my recommendation, and they're already into a hefty profit, and I still don't think they've fulfilled their potential yet. That is yet to come. I think any Wimbledon dial Datejust will do well. So again, another watch for the future that you can purchase, still relatively sensible in 2021. Look for watches, I think really probably best with the fluted bezel. Bracelet doesn't really matter. Metal combination, I think the best ones are going to be the steel models. They're probably going to do best in the future. But I think the bimetal models will also do well, because again, once that dial is discontinued, the prices are definitely going to go up, and they're probably going to go up quite significantly. Now, another watch, I'm going to go back to Daytona's. I missed this one. Another watch that has still gone under the radar to some degree. It's not as much under the radar as it was the last time that I recommended it. People are starting to take notice, and they are slowly but surely beginning to be sucked off the market, and prices are rising, but it's still not too late to invest in a bimetal or even an 18 karat gold Zenith Daytona. These watches in the future are going to fetch a considerable premium. My tips right now, if you're looking for a bimetal or even a solid gold Zenith Daytona, is condition. You've got to look for the condition, paperwork, etc. That is a bonus, and a very good bonus at that. But you're really looking for condition. I say it again, condition is everything for me. And that is what will determine the value of your watch in future years, along with paperwork. If you can find one with paperwork, so much the better. But if you find the right watch in the right condition with a proven history, and it's definitely 100% genuine, don't let the paperwork worry you too much. It's the watch itself that counts. Let's move on to some surprises, or watches that maybe people will go, oh really, I never thought about that. Rolex Day-Date 2 218348. That's a watch that I think is going to pick up in 2021 quite considerably, if it hasn't already. I haven't checked the prices of that watch lately, if I'm honest, but gem set day dates as well. I think the high end this year in 2021 is probably going to do better than the lower end, and the reason I say that is that a lot of people have obviously suffered financially due to the COVID situation, but the people that already have money, well, they're still going to have money in 2021. And I think in 2020 we did see a considerable increase in the amount of high-end watches that were being sold with ease, and that's not always been the case. Sometimes high-end watches they've always moved, but they haven't always been so easy to move, and there hasn't always been a large amount of customers out there for them. But that kind of changed in 2020, and I think 2021 will see a continuation of that trend, where the higher-end watches continue to do very well. Now, as I say, unusual dial, gem set day dates, I think they're going to do well. The Oyster Perpetual 41s. Now, look, imagine if Rolex discontinued any of those colours. Just imagine what's going to happen to the price of that colour, particularly if people have been following my advice, and there won't be many of them because not many people will be able to do this, but if you've been out there trying to secure a full set, and you're the green dial short of the full set, or the yellow dial short of the full set, how much are you going to be willing to pay for that dial combination, that dial colour, to make up your full set? Now, I have a sneaky feeling that Rolex might just do something like that. It will be a little bit wacky, but it wouldn't surprise me at all to see them discontinue one of the colours, or maybe even introduce another one whilst dropping one. But keep your eyes on that Oyster Perpetual 41, especially the unusual coloured dials. Those are the dials that are really, I think, going to do well this year. And again, look, I've got to reiterate, I'm looking further ahead from 2021. I'll say it again, these are watches, not all of these watches I'm going to say are going to explode and do extremely well in 2021. Well, I'm saying 2021 could be the time to buy them for the future. And the future is a different period, basically, for every watch that I'm talking about. Now, I think one of the big tips I'd have for this year involves a watch that has really, to a large degree, been undervalued, at least up until recently, has gone under the radar again, and that, of course, is the Explorer, both the 16570 and the 216-570. Now, the 16570, for me, for a long time, has been a watch that is available at good money. It's still remaining an entry-level Rolex, and it's a sports watch. So there's what's the dislike? Obviously, we have the 216-570 now, which I actually think is a great looking watch. It's a better size, for me at least. But this year, of course, is the 50th anniversary of the Explorer now, or the Explorer 2, I should say. Now, here's the deal. What will Rolex do this year? We're almost certain, I mean, it's almost written in stone, isn't it, that they're going to introduce an anniversary Explorer 2. Now, if they do, are they going to discontinue the 216-570 as we know it, or will they run the anniversary model alongside that? I think it depends on the aesthetics, the differences in the aesthetics. If they were to just add something to the dial, i.e. 50th anniversary, or just maybe, you know, change the colour of the text, they might still keep the current line in place, if that makes sense. The 216-570, they might not discontinue it. But here's something that you can guarantee: the anniversary Explorer 2 is going to be hugely sought after, and it's a watch that I would suggest that you speak to your authorised dealer about right now. I know they're telling us there's no lists, etc., but register your interest for the anniversary Explorer 2 right now, today, because when that watch comes out, you are going to be instantly in a profit if that's what you're looking for. And if you're not, in the future, it's definitely 100% going to be a watch that you simply must have in your collection. And certainly you want to have it in your investment portfolio if that's what you do. But there's a knock-on effect, isn't there? Because the 16570 all of a sudden kind of falls into that proper vintage category, doesn't it? It makes it even older. It puts it even further back in the history of the Explorer 2. And I think the introduction of an anniversary Explorer 2 will have a knock-on effect financially on the 16570 and the 216-570. So I think all of those watches are potentially looking at a pretty substantial increase later on this year when we get the Rolex anniversary Explorer released, and I'm sure that's what they're going to do. Now, anyone that's interested in that, I watched a fantastic video that Adrian over at Bark and Jack put together. I'll pop a link up on screen to that one and down in the video description. I would honestly recommend you go over and have a watch of that video. Adrian does a grand job of talking about the 50th anniversary in the Explorer 2, and he also has some mock-ups. I'll just pop them up on screen as well now, but I won't steal the thunder. Go over to Adrian's channel and have a look at that video. As I say, it's really worth a watch. So what about the hot watches that are out there right now? What about the models that have done extremely well in previous years, in 2019, 2020? What can we expect for them in 2021? So I'm talking about the Pepsi GMT, the Batman, the Batgirl, the Hulk. I have a feeling that they'll kind of settle down this year. I think they've probably seen their current day heyday if that makes sense. And let me explain a little bit more if it doesn't. By current day heyday, I mean right now, in the here and now, I think that those watches have probably pretty much peaked. Yes, they will rise again in the future as we go along the historical road that is Rolex. They will increase one day. Of course, everything increases in time with inflation, but I said some months back that I think the Hulk will settle at around 14.5, 15 grand by about February, March, April this year. I think that's where they're probably going to be. The Pepsi GMT, the Starbucks Submariner, etc. I think they're all going to settle, and the madness will kind of end for those watches, because I think they've kind of peaked in the current time, and I really hope that makes sense. Look, if I'm wrong, I'm sure you guys will be the first to come back and tell me, but I don't think I'm going to be too far away with those. So lastly for now, what other tips would I have for 2021? Well, a couple of brand tips, and I've given this quite a bit of thought and consideration before I put my big foot in it. I think that all of my Piguet Royal Oak models this year will have a blinding time, and I'll tell you for why. Because AP and Patek are kind of like vying for this position in the watch market right now, but I just think you're kind of getting better money with the AP, and they're probably just a little bit easier to source. Now, when I talk about the Royal Oak range, I'm not necessarily talking about the offshore range. I'm talking about the standard Royal Oak range, both the chrono and the non-chrono versions. Also the new ultra thin, is it, whatever they call it? I think that's gonna do well too. And I think FP Journe are in for a good year. Not anywhere, let's put it this way, they're not going to break into the everyday man on the street market. But I think with the higher end buyers, I think FP Journe could have a stonking year, and they fully deserve that too. Look, making these predictions is not simple, it's not easy, and some of these predictions, as you'll rightly point out, are pretty obvious, and it doesn't take an expert to name some of the watches that I've put forward today. I think it's all a bit of fun, and I want you guys to take it in the spirit in that it's meant. I would never really want you to rush out and spend your money just on my say so. Do your own research. One or two of the watches that I've mentioned long term in the future, you know, like I said, you can put your house on the Eye of the Tiger Daytona for sure. If you can buy that at list price, you're always going to make money on that watch. Same as the Green Dial Daytona, same as the Platinum Daytona with a diamond dial. Those are watches that you can safely almost put your house on, as long as you're buying them at list. And they're all watches that if you have a decent relationship with your authorised dealer, that you should be talking to him about, because they'll only come up really once in a lifetime for you. And if they do become available, you don't want to miss out. And I guess lastly, what do I predict for the watch industry as a whole in 2021? Well, I think it'll be pretty much as you were from 2020. As we eventually find ourselves pulling out of the COVID pandemic, which unquestionably we will. I think that come the spring, things are going to look a whole lot better, hopefully, and please God, they're going to look a whole lot better. And I think it'll pretty much be as you were. I don't see any huge changes in the market, be it up or down. Of course, we still have the small print to read in that Brexit document, and as soon as that has been done, I'll bring you a further update and a further report. So what I'm saying to you right now is subject, I must say it is subject to sort of getting that final Brexit document defined and getting the definitive answers with VAT questions, import, export, etc. That will be a whole different video all by itself. Hope you enjoyed that as usual, guys. If any of you out there are cheating on me and watching my videos without clicking the like button or the subscribe button, please, that's all I ask of you in return for my efforts and my time. Just please hit that like button, please hit that subscribe button, and together we grow stronger. Thanks for watching. We'll speak again soon.